Benny, walk me through the process of federal mediation and what it tells us about the timeline to resolving this dispute.
So they're at a point now where they need that third party to help them through the stalemate. As you said, we had that strike commence last week. And shortly after the strike started, we had two downgrades, or potential downgrades, from rating companies. Fitch and Moody's both said that the strike might actually put a damper on Boeing's finances, and therefore their already very low credit rating is at risk of being cut into junk. So that really sort of increased the pressure on the company to get a resolution here. It looks, the imagery is quite stark. A lot of protests, a lot of angry workers. But behind the scenes, what we are hearing is that they're not that far apart. So the hope really is that in the next couple of days, maybe even, they might be able to get a resolution. That's where the mediator comes in. The two sides will sit down. They're going to meet for the first time tomorrow, and we might get a bit more of a sense of directionally where things are going after that.
Benedikt, give us a sense of where the movement might be, I suppose, because some of the numbers being talked about didn't look small in terms of pay increases, but there's obviously always a backstory there. And some of the, maybe it comes down to some of the wider conditions and working conditions as well. What kind of movement are we watching for?
It's probably going to be on the bonus side and maybe on the base pay. So Boeing has come out saying we want to give you 25% on top. That's not a small number, particularly for a company that's bleeding cash. And they said this was really, we put our best foot forward. This is as far as we could push it. But the company also has a very sort of simple calculus. The longer the strike lasts, the more it'll cost them. So it's probably easier for them to throw in a little extra money and to avert a long, drawn-out strike than to risk workers staying off work for longer. So we're going to see something on the base pay. We might see something on the bonus. There's an important commitment to the region, to the Seattle region. They said that their next plane would be built there, so they've already thrown that one into the ring. But really, it's on the basic numbers, and you might see a bit of a divide inside the Boeing workers. You have a fairly young workforce now. They've had a lot of turnover there, and the younger people might say, look, if we ride this for many years, then actually it's not a bad deal. It's the older people that are sort of close to retirement that might say, look, we're not going to get a lot out of this. So if they manage to convince younger people, if you stick with us and you stay with us for a long time, you will actually get a good deal out of this, and that will help them.
Benny, how heavily has Kelly Ilberg, the new CEO, been involved in the negotiations thus far, and does he need to become more involved as we start this strike?
So he has been generally a lot more involved. Boeing made a point about saying he has bought a house in the Seattle region. Now, that's a big point because that's a real contrast to his predecessor, Dave Calhoun, who sort of ran the company from the other side of the country. So he's made a point about physically being at Boeing in Seattle, and he's walking the factory floors. He's engaging with people. So he's really sort of thrown his weight behind it. He's not visibly become he's not become that visible at this point, so he sort of kept his powder dry a little bit, so we might get a little bit more of that in the next couple of days, but he is engaged. He did send a memo on the eve of the vote saying, everyone, I really urge you to go with this offer. There's no gain to be had from looking back at the last 10 years where we had some bad deals, and look forward. This is a really good deal for you. Some workers took that as a little bit of a threat and voted the other way, so if he can sort of temper his words, shall we say, a little bit in the eyes of the workers, that will also help. So he definitely plays a crucial role in this.
Even before this strike activity started, Benny, this was a business that had issues and was in trouble to some degree. So even if this is fixed, he'll still have a busy in-tray.
Absolutely. I mean, this is one more problem for them. I mean, this is a company that, as you said, has lots of issues, and a strike is a massively disruptive event for an already disrupted company. It's going to put work out of sequence, the so-called traveled work, as it's called. That means that they're not really producing the planes in the order that they're supposed to. It's going to cost them more cash. The deliveries will slow down even further. There's the question of what does it mean for suppliers. So all of these things are going to disrupt the company company further. And as you said, a company that's already troubled, that had that January 5th blowout of the fuselage, which really sort of set in motion this event, this line of events that we're in right now. So one more issue for them, and if you can get this resolved, it might go a long way to sort of reset the basics of Boeing and the relationship between management and Boeing, because that's another thing. There was always a sense that there's a disconnect between the top of the company and the factory work floor. So if he can engage, get the people on his side, that will help everyone.